This is a ridiculous way to die. Back in 2008, I was on a reality TV show called The Mole on ABC. The premise of the show is there was a group of 12 people traveling around South America doing all these crazy tasks. If you accomplish those tasks, you put money into a pot. Winner would get the whole pot. And there was one person on the show, on the team, that was trying to keep money out of the pot. I was the mole. And at the end of each episode, everyone would take a quiz on who they thought the mole was, and whoever did the worst on the quiz got sent home. As it turns out, I was the mole. When I was in Chile one day, down at sea level, cruising around on a boat, doing the whole Titanic thing, like, I'm the king of the world! Next day, we're at literally the top of the world, at the top of the Andes, near one of the highest peaks in the world, at this ski resort sort of thing. And the task is carrying these bricks, these gold painted bricks, up a mountain in a certain amount of time. I had about 50 pounds worth of bricks on a backpack, and I had to go up and high elevation and get there in a certain amount of time. Nobody thought I could do it, including myself, but I still wanted to try my hardest. I made it to the top with just seconds to spare, and I accomplished the task and threw everyone off my scent by trying so hard. We had gone up considerable elevation in one day, and it was incredibly cold. So while we were taking the ski lift back down the mountain, I yelled out, "Yeah!" as loud as I could, echoing through the mountains, and I had trouble catching my breath. Next thing you know, I'm being thrown into an ambulance, and they're trying to get me stabilized because I was suffering from altitude sickness and hypothermia. All the sweat that I had generated climbing to the top of this mountain had frozen on my body and dropped my core temperature down to a dangerous level. Now, I knew the levels or the stages of hypothermia would be shivering, not shivering, falling asleep, dead. I was shivering, I stopped shivering, and then I noticed that the guy in the back of the ambulance is slapping my face. And I'm like, why are you? And I realized, oh man, he's trying to keep me awake. I really have to fight here. So I realized it was serious. He slapped my face. And you have to realize that these guys don't speak any English, and I'm in no condition to speak the little Spanish that I know. So our entire conversation, communication is good, no good. So he slaps me, good, no good, or no good, as it was. So they strip me down. They try to find me some of dry clothes, but nobody in South America is my size. So somebody had a poncho that they were able to put on me, kind of stabilized me, gave me a bunch of shots, and then they had to take off in the ambulance to try to get me, to a hospital or something like that. Craziest drive of my life. The ambulance drivers seemed to be enjoying this. It was like they were waiting all day for their chance to just drive as fast and as recklessly as they could. I wasn't strapped in to the gurney. I was just laying on top of it. I'm going back and forth. This guy's driving this ambulance like it's a race car through this narrow mountain pass, all these curves. At one point, this can of oxygen falls over, lands right on my crotch. I'm throwing it off. I could see out the back window. I could see up over my head to the front. And I noticed that we were passing somebody, and it's the van of all the other contestants of the show. I can see them just fading off into the distance. And I look up in front of me, and I can see we're going into a blind curve, and he passes somebody on the other side of the road. And I just start laughing uncontrollably because I was thinking, this is a ridiculous way to die. There was just sheer drops and falling rocks, and there every once in a while there'd be like a handmade bridge across an area. This is like in the places where Indiana Jones goes. They get me to a cabin. That night, I was left for quite a while on my own, to my own devices, trying to fix a heater to stay warm so I don't die. The hot water would run out after 60 seconds. I had a limited amount of wood for the fireplace, so I was using that sparingly and heating up rocks in the fireplace to keep myself warm until people got back. Well, as we were watching this episode, when I got home at the Blarney Stone Pub in Claremont, California, about 100 of my friends there, where you're all going nuts until you get to the suspenseful commercial break, where it's like, did Craig die? Or how are we gonna try to kill Craig this time? It was silent. And just to break the tension, I had to stand up and say, everybody, it's okay. I didn't make it.